I'm not sure if this is working, but I'm trying to try out my new mic here and see if it's going to work or not. Because I bought it and then um, I, my computer kind of had an update and stuff. So I was like, you know, not sure if it's going to work on. And then I had all this freaking thing, and it just wasn't going the way I wanted to. Got wires everywhere. Excuse me for that. I hope you guys are doing all right out there. This is a test stream, right? So, you know, if if you're watching this, then you know this is not like me streaming. This is just me hanging out and trying to fix this. So that's why it's called a test stream. So let's see if this is going to work the way I want it to work. What I need to do, I don't know if it's going to work for me here, but I'm going to see if I can hear myself on, out there if I'm testing this equipment. So please bear with me. I haven't streamed for ages, so I'm not really sure how this is going to work, but, I'm going to try my best to, well, it looks like that's working, but let's see if we can, while we're doing this, let's watch some, this clown around the world, right? So if you guys haven't heard about this dude, I'm going to show you a whole lot of background stuff while I'm trying to fix this so you guys can understand what's going on with this clown. This guy who everybody's now calling Johnny Salami because, well, he's a sausage needs to be fried, I guess. Not that I'm advocating it, but I have friends who want to see that dude fried because of his atrocious, nature. It's gotten so bad where foreign people are basically saying, look, this guy needs to be put in jail because, of all this stuff he's been doing. So what I'm going to do is let's do this one, right? Let's go with this one here, and then we'll try that. So let me pop off this one and bring this other video on so you guys can watch. So please bear with me. I'm trying this, and as you can see, everything's kind of out of focus. New mic, man, and everything, and it just didn't work for me. This, so here. No one's ever no, let me see if you guys can hear this. Ain't nobody look, so what's up? I'm just saying. They don't even fuck with you, so why are you gonna come through? So, apologies for the swearing and all that with this dude, but yeah, we have a great night. Oh, you better get your phone. Yo, give him his phone. Give me his phone. Give him his phone. Is that me? Yeah, this you? No. You sure? It's me. Yeah, what's up? I got a problem with you, bro. Yeah? Yeah. I'm a troll. My wife is Japanese. Okay. You go there insulting people like that. You know how many people died from Hiroshima joking about that shit? I know. So why are you joking about it? I was drunk. Fucked up, bro. I was drunk. I know how many families suffered, people suffered because of that. You're on the train harassing people like that? I was drunk. Don't do it again, bro.
Johnny Somali. He is one of the most hated Twitch streamers, kick streamers, streamer in general on the planet. If there is anybody that gets under my skin, nobody else can do it like Johnny Somali. He is an extremely controversial individual, and we're going to go over all of his antics from the beginning of his Twitch streaming to him most recently getting rocked in Korea. Most content that is streamed nowadays is generally entertaining and at least provides some value to the audience. But Johnny Somali, his content is predicated only on harassing others, saying the most offensive things, and just being a general nuisance to society. Johnny Somali is generally one of the worst people you'll ever see on the platform. To really understand, though, Johnny Somali's motive, his desires, why he goes out and does all of these outlandish things, though, is because we unfortunately live in a society that tends to, I suppose you could say, benefit the individual that does outlandish things.
Streamers aren't meant to be smart. They're not Einstein. They're entertaining. Yes.
Because nowadays everything seems to be motivated by clicks, by views, by subscribers, by donations. And these IRL streamers, these in-real-life streamers, for those who don't know what IRL means, they capitalize upon this dynamic that has unfortunately happened in the modern era. And perhaps it's always existed, but that's a conversation for another time. And these IRL streamers, they go out and they do horrible things. I would actually say that IRL streaming, at least the category that Johnny Somali does, is at the bottom of the barrel in terms of society and the value that's brought by the production of that content. And unfortunately, there are people who are willing to compromise and sacrifice their morals for money and for clout. So Johnny Somali, he goes to these random countries and he tends to, not even tends to, he is certainly focused on provoking local communities, provoking everybody, and just saying the absolute worst things to piss people off. Before Johnny Somali was live streaming and getting rocked in South Korea, he was actually a student. I'll let him explain.
Student, I was a bot, I was a robot, and I was somebody who was stuck in a hamster with a wife. When I went to school for those 4 years, I didn't really love finance. I was depressed. I did not like where my life was going. Where's that going to lead you? You go to school for 4 years, you go work for 40 years, you end up with a cubicle with a suit on and a tie. There's no mobility in life. I'd rather take a risk and live a different life, you know what I mean? Live in different countries and meet new people.
The idea of going to school and getting a normal job, being boring, is something that probably many people can actually relate to. And it's what actually drove Johnny Somali to get into content production. However, just because this revelation of getting a normal job and going to school is boring, or it's just what everybody else does is true, that doesn't excuse the fact that Johnny Somali would make the worst unhinged content this platform would ever see. So to kick off his live streaming career, he flew over to Japan.
This is when I let me just pause there for a bit. So this is when I found about him about a year ago. Oh, okay. Thanks, Nugget. I will thank you for that. Yeah, I'm testing this, but I'm not sure if it's doubled up because it's coming through the mic. So it's probably is coming through the mic, right? So the best, yeah. Thank you for that. So yeah, so in Japan, like what happened in Japan with like what he did on like so basically he went over to Japan and started harassing people in public, right? So he's out there in the subway playing hentai porn noises off his phone, watching it while there's young girls around, like young kids around, families around in the subway. And then also going on about like as anybody who's hasn't been living as under a rock for like forever knows that Nagasaki and Hiroshima are the kind of like the most atrocious events, and like as well as the Germans and Nazis and all that, as well as communism under Mao and under Lenin and stuff like so many horrible stuff's happened. But like we dropped 2 bombs. The Allies dropped 2 bombs, nuclear bombs in Japan, which basically turned people into ash, right? Like entire cities into ash. Like, and so it's not something that you go out there and go, oh yeah, this is a great thing to talk about, And he's out there like basically harassing people with minding their own business, walking on the line. And I find that's the worst kind of thing. It's like people who just shout and scream at people just going about doing their day, right? Just try and live their lives, because hey, nobody wants to be harassed in this, in the street, just walking around. Like they're just doing their thing, living their life, going shopping, hanging out with their family or their friends. And then this dude's basically out here doing these horrible things. So I'm going to mute myself.
crazy.
We're gonna destroy Japanese society. We're here to do crime. Drop them nuke emojis in the chat.
What does it say? This is in Mulan language. What does it say? I thought that was an error. It's Mulan language. It's real NPC activity right now. It's hella NPCs out here. This is crazy. These are NPCs, guys. We with the NPCs right now, bro. I'm with the NPCs out here. Really with the NPCs. Hey, these are all NPCs, bro. We got. Oh my God. Hold on. I see a girl, the big ass over there.
You know Japanese can have brown hair. You look crazy.
So yeah, for him, normal people going about their day are non-playable content. Like, so he's basically pretending like the world is like these people living their normal lives, because as you heard earlier, he's like he didn't want the 9-to-5 life, right? He didn't want to go to work and thank you, Nugget, and he and he's just going about his day, right? And he didn't like that. He didn't like that normalcy of life, just, and not everybody does. So that's why you make, become creative. You do art, you do music, you do get hobbies, you find people who are interested in that. You create little groups, little niche things. You go to downtown and you find groups of people who play card games, right? The trading card games, so Yu-Gi-Oh or whatever, or people who play D&D, or gamers, right? You make your online friendships. And so, and then you hang out with those people, right? And that's normal human behavior, because we like to just hang out with them and talk to people who are similar to us. But he doesn't like that. He thinks that, like, because people are like, out here doing normal things, that they're non-playable content. He sees them as people who are like, don't have anything going, as like they just stand there again, like in a game, right? But that's not how normal life is. Normal life is people actually struggling and doing things and trying to get the bills paid, working hard, trying to put their kids through school, making sure the kids' lunches are made, that when they wake up, there's breakfast on the table, mum or dad, right? Because I've lived with people who have like, fathers, like, and solo mums, solo dads, so I understand what it's like being amongst that. And I've lived with families. I live with my own family members, and I've lived with other people's family members, because I'm, for about since I was 16, going on 17, I've lived outside of my own family home, right? The most when I returned back was probably to look after my, look after my sister and brother when my mom and dad were overseas on a trip, right? Stuff like that. But really, for the last over 30 years, right? Maybe going close about maybe 40 years, give or take. Yeah, around about 38 years, something like that. I've lived outside of my home on my own. So I know what it's like to, try to make sure my bills are paid so I can actually have a place to live, right? So for him, right, for Salami, everybody that does that are non-playable content. They're like just somebody in the game. And that's how he sees it. So that's, if you really think about it, that's what he sees these people as, like human beings as non-playable content in a video game. And so basically he is on his way to getting a lot of trouble. So I'm just gonna give you this background to see what's come up to soon. So there's a couple videos out that we're gonna look at, and we'll be zooming through some of them, but like there's some that we just need a good background on.
You need braces. You buck teeth as hell. Look at your front teeth. Nasty ass teeth. Where's your wife? You ain't got no hoes. You ain't got no bitch. You ain't got no money. Look at your shoes. What the fuck are those? It's nasty ass.
I hope you studied their culture before going. I'm tired of foreigners giving a bad image. I'm trying to give us a bad image. I'm not here to give you a good image, bro. I'm not a role model. I am not your role model, bro.
So it was this Joker's idea to go to arguably perhaps the most respectful and nice place you could ever go to, where all the people are super cool, and just be an absolute racist to everybody. You can clearly tell that he is being a racist. He calls it Mulan language. He has this accent that's trying to mimic the people there. Totally full-blown racist to these people. And then presses people, gets in their face, insults them, calls the old people there NPCs, catcalls women. Who goes to Japan and catcalls them? That's just actually crazy. Johnny Somali there's a reason why he's the most hated person in the world. In the beginning days of Johnny Somali's trip to Japan, where he would troll the local population, it would go relatively unnoticed by the internet. However, there would be a very specific moment in Johnny Somali's streaming career where the whole world would finally know how much of a dirtbag and racist he was.
Nagasaki, you know why we do to you this? Hiroshima and Nagasaki. Because you don't know how to behave. Wallahi billahi wa tallahi. I swear to God. You do again, we're gonna do again. You understand? You understand our power. Hiroshima, Nagasaki, you know. You know Hiroshima, Nagasaki. We're gonna do again. What? Hiroshima, Nagasaki. We do again.
This joker would go on a train and decide that it was a good idea to yell at Japanese people Nagasaki and Hiroshima for views, for entertainment. If anybody is at home and thinks that's appropriate, you're actually out of your mind. And the thing is, Johnny Somali was out of his mind, harassing these locals with ridiculous statements, but he wasn't really getting the reaction out of them because Japan is a very respectful and kind place. And honestly, those locals had way more tolerance than probably anybody in the world, really. But that is until somebody stepped in and squared Johnny away.
What? What do you mean?
Where are you from?
You know where I'm from?
Where are you from?
I'm from America.
You're from America?
Yes.
So am I.
You're from America.
Yeah, you're being obnoxious.
You know what we do to you?
What do you do?
We will do again.
Do what?
Hiroshima, Nagasaki.
I'm from America.
Where are you from? What's your ethnicity?
Texas, buddy.
What's your ethnicity?
I'm Korean.
Then sit down, brother.
Why don't you sit your ass?
Korean War, you know what happened to you?
Come on, you're don't touch me. I'm obnoxious, brother.
Don't touch me,
Leave this
brother.
guy alone.
Korean War, North Korean War, you know what we did to you?
Johnny Somali then shifts his focus on a guy from Texas and then proceeds to ask him his ethnicity. Are you Korean? In which the guy responds, yes. And then goes off on a racist tangent about the Korean War. Johnny Somali is an absolute full-blown idiot and actually has no understanding of history. After this incident, the moment was viral. The whole world knew about Johnny Somali's absolutely ridiculous behavior. Instead of being concerned with how the world may perceive him, instead of being concerned with all of the atrocious comments that he said to the people of Japan, he decided that he was not going to apologize for what he had said, that he was going to relish in the hate and that it was actually good for him.
Definitely gonna have some haters hop in the chat. More haters is more views is more money. But you know what I say? I say the more haters is the more eyes watching, the more eyes watching is the more money. You know what I mean? Thank you for the publicity. I love all my haters, every single one of my haters. Thank you so much for watching. You know what I mean? I love every single one of my haters. Every single one of my haters. Every single one of my haters. I love every single one of you. Haters is my motivators, bro. The more haters, the better. The more.
If you remember what I said in the beginning of this video, we unfortunately live in a society where deplorable behavior is rewarded by money, by clicks, by views. And Johnny Somali is an individual who has capitalized upon that dynamic that lies in our own social medias. Capitalizing upon all of the infamy that Johnny Somali had garnered, he would go and continue to mistreat the people of Japan and be a horrible human being to everybody he'd come across just for entertainment value's sake. But the people of Japan were not going to have it.
I don't know what's going on. Yeah, man, and what?
Just don't. All you have to say
Don't
is
grab nothing. Oh. Now hop in Discord. Oh, whoa, what the fuck?
One of the something that is disrespectful for the whole Japanese community, and that is why Japan is really mad.
So basically, he finds out, right? F-A-F-O, right? Fuck around, find out. And then he thinks that that's getting more views because now people want to see him getting abused. They want people watching, people want to see him getting smashed, right? Great life goal, right? Great, I mean, if you want to do that, jump into a friggin' boxing ring. right? People will probably actually pay you better money if you want to do that, right? But you want to go out there on the street and do that. And here's the thing. A lot of people around the world are under different stresses. I mean, and there's enough people we know in the world that are walking around that's just crazy. A lot of normal people are very civil, polite, and they don't want to be involved in anything unlawful. However, there's a limit to every single person, right? If you abuse somebody, most people, 99% of the time, people will walk away. There will be one or two on the sidelines watching, just fuming and waiting for that moment. And that guy was basically like, yeah, I've had enough. And everybody's going to be like that. Give or take. Everybody has a bit of patience in them. Like I remember when my neighbor was harassing the hell out of me for about months, and I'm like, but we were going to, landlord was like, you got to, fill out a form, let me know, I've got to get rid of him. So for 3 months, he had to get a warning because it's friggin' in the middle of COVID. But my neighbor's continuously harassing me. And I'm standing in there, behind my door because he comes up to my, to my doorstep. So I'm like, sorry about this. There we go, that's better. So he comes up to my, to my balcony, goes around and comes up to my thing. And in front of my door. And I'm there going, all right, I'm going to record this. If anything comes off this, I know this guy said it. And he says the most vilest, sexist, all that gay stuff shit that he can say. He doesn't even know who I am, right? But he's going all off his things. And I'm like, okay, I got to put up with this until the friggin', because of COVID, you're locked in. You can't be let out. He can't be pushed out, warning straight away. So, and then there's the thing about like people go, oh, landlords are bad. They always mistreat you and stuff. What about the other end, right? When you're there stuck with someone who's who's a neighbor who's like the most belligerent, horrible person, yet you have to put up with it because the law says the landlord can't chuck that person out, and so you become a victim, right, of that person. And so I'm all on the side of landlords chucking people out, to be honest. If you're that horrible person, instantly, like overnight, you're going, here's a want to get the hell out, because we need that sort of people like who have been victimized need that sort of law on their side as well. Okay, so is this within? Yeah, cool. 24-hour notice, get out. But the other side is this: if the landlord is trying to sell the place or something, okay, you got to give 3-month notice to give those people, or 2 months notice, sorry, to allow for those people to get their life together, work up, save up money to be able to move out. I've been in that position myself as well, having to move out, and the landlord's trying to sell the place and so on. Now, this guy here is basically, is this, it doesn't care about anybody because the clout and the stuff, right? And so this kind of sucks. So let me see. Is my volume coming out? Apologies, guys. I'm just going to check something.
Well, but can we talk? We don't need to fight, Why you
no excuses, right? You can't blame it on TTS. You can't blame it on chat. You have to be responsible. If you're not willing to be responsible, then don't play the game.
Okay.
Freedom of speech doesn't mean freedom from consequences. You can say what you want, but then you're going to be afraid to go outside.
People would run up on Johnny Somali in Japan, get physical with him, and really make him feel uncomfortable while being in Japan. People would also show up to his house or his Airbnb that he had rented during his time in Japan and pressed him, and definitely made it clear to him that what he had done, what he had said to the people of Japan was not okay. Johnny would continue to live stream in Japan for approximately a year after the incident in which he told people on the subway station about Hiroshima and Nagasaki. Nonetheless, his journey in Japan fortunately came to an end when he was eventually arrested for being a nuisance to businesses in the district of Osaka.
It's on. Take it off.
you close my bag? Close my bag. Zip my bag up. Zip my bag up. Zip my bag up. Zip my bag up. Yo, free Somali. Hashtag free Somali. Free Somali. Hashtag free Somali.
Johnny was banned from ever entering the country again. He's never going back to Japan. And he was also fined 200,000 yen, which is approximately a couple thousand US dollars. Perhaps he probably should have got more. Personally, I wish Japan would have hit him with like the $1 million fine just to really wipe that stupid smile off his face. But Japan was not the only country he would go and terrorize people at. He would also go to Thailand, Israel.
I think that's what really made him realize that he could just do whatever he wanted, because all he was getting was fined was chump change, right? Because the other thing he's trying to work off is that he's a U.S. citizen, right? And yeah, becoming America, having that American citizenship allows you kind of like protection from your immigration, right? Because and it's like me, if I go over to Fiji, I've got protection from New Zealand because I'm a New Zealand citizen, and so on, and I've got that protection. However, I think it's pretty sad to use your citizenship in that way, because I'm from this country, so I've got the protection of the government of that country because my government has a relationship with your government. So because we don't want to start anything, that we should we'll let you do whatever the hell you want without causing too much problems. However, that has caused them to get a bit more, big-headed. So he's playing the whole monkey thing, right? Monkey see, monkey do, and so he's basically going on there and like behaving, just doing whatever he wants, throwing, crap at people, and then like he gets a banana, right? Basically what it is like they give him money, he does more, right? And so, but the people who are receiving all the abuse are not people who are paying, but people who are just trying to live their life. And I think that's the sad part of this, is that normal people are being abused by an atrocious person who's getting paid by horrible people. I would say the people who are actually giving him a couple bucks or whatever on his chat when he's streaming are the worst of the worst, right? Because they're like just paying him to do these horrible things to normal people going about their lives. And so, he gets off on it.
And most recently, Korea, which is what everybody is talking about. While in Thailand, Johnny Somali was up to no good, as he usually was. But unusually, there was a very controversial streamer by the name of Burger Planet who has a whole long list of issues related to himself. He actually, he did something about Johnny Somali, which is honestly pretty crazy. I wouldn't have expected it.
Delivery for you guys right here. Yes, the gift right here for both everybody.
We don't want to go.
We don't want to.
Wow, really?
Go ahead.
We don't want
Oh no.
We don't want to get the
Come
fuck
on,
away
bro.
from
That's a
us.
beautiful gift for you guys.
Get out of here. Leave us alone. I don't want you to be a person. Get the fuck out of here.
Oh my God.
Yo, what the fuck?
This guy's harassing us. Fuck you, bitch.
Yo, what the fuck?
Take a swim, bitch.
So Johnny Somali thought it was going to be a good idea to do whatever he thought he was going to do with these streamers. Now, I get it. Sam Peppers and Burger Planet, horrible human beings. Probably one of the worst people on the internet, in the same echelon of Johnny Somali. But even the scum of Moss Esley, of the Moss Esley Cantina, don't even like Johnny Somali. So justice comes in different forms, and it comes sometimes from people that you never expect, and they weren't going to have it. But there was actually a genuine guy in Thailand that recognized Johnny Somali, who himself was married to a Japanese woman and did not like what Johnny had to say.
Is that me?
Yeah, this you?
No.
You sure?
It's me. Yeah, what's up?
I got a problem with you, bro.
Yeah?
Yeah.
I'm a troll.
My wife is Japanese.
Okay.
You go there insulting people like that. You know how many people died from Hiroshima joking about that shit?
I know.
So why
I
are you joking about people?
I was drunk.
It's fucked up, bro.
I was drunk. I know
You know how many
it's fucked up.
families suffered, people suffered because of that? You're on the train harassing people like that?
I was drunk.
Don't do it again, bro.
I haven't done anything since. I've seen how people in Tokyo whoop your ass. You're lucky I don't do the same thing. Is that a threat?
So here's the thing about him, right? He's such a chicken shit, right? Person that like when he gets confronted, he goes, "Oh, that's not me. Yeah, that's not me." You know, oh, I'm going to sue you. You know, you can't touch me. You can't do this. But he basically does the same thing to everybody else. So here you can see this rocked up on and said, "Hey, is this you?" No, it's not me. He knows it's him, right? And then he goes, "Oh yeah, no, of course it is me." You know, and then this is the thing about like people who try to be bullies, right? When they get confronted, then they all cower, right? Oh, you know, you're bullying me, you know. And so, but the sad thing about this is that the guy's polite, right? And so he just, in the end, they get a freaking photo taken with them. So it's like, oh yeah, excuse me, all is forgiven. And that sort of makes him go, oh, well, all I have to do now is apologize and everybody, it's all going to go waste. It's like, oh, it's like that whole deathbed confession thing. It's like, you know, it's like, oh, I can be a horrible person all my life, and then I can ask for forgiveness at the end of my life, right, before I die. And that's kind of like how he is. And it feels like he can do all the horrible things he wants. And then at the end of it all, you know, he can just basically, apologize and it'll be all over. But, you know, as we find out later, it hasn't been the case. So I'm going to pop up to the latest news, right, from Korea. And this is where he's now getting hunted and has been hunted for a while. And it's been like a week-long thing too. I think it's on to week 2 now.
So looks like Johnny Somali's back again with his old shenanigans in a totally different country this time, South Korea, and looks like he got his ass beat severely. Wow. So it's finally catching back up with him. Buddy went to Japan, started talking shit, spamming Hiroshima, Nagasaki, trying to offend everybody in Japan. Ultimately got beat up, left the country, and is now in South Korea trying to do the same shit. I mean, at this point, it's clear as day that he has a fetish for getting jumped and beat up. I'm sorry. Maybe this freaky ass boy just like getting touched by other men. I don't know. So right there was Johnny Somali's friend and cameraman, I believe. Apparently both of them were getting jumped for talking shit and trying to disrespect Koreans, and rightfully so. Like, you can't just go to other people's country, disrespect them, dance everywhere, and act like a monkey, and expect not for the locals to eventually retaliate. This man had to bust out some English, but he said, "Where your friend at?" Like, bro, what? Like, you know it's bad when you got the local Koreans out here having to talk shit to you in English. Like, honestly, at this point, all of this is just well-deserved. As I said in my previous video about Johnny Somali getting attacked by crime syndicates in Japan, he's a complete clown and an embarrassment to Americans, to Somalians, to the Muslim community, his parents, his friends. Like, nobody in their right mind wants to be associated with this man at this point. Then the following day, after this man escaped the grasps of death and got home and patched himself up, he thought he was safe. He thought everything was cool and he could go back on the street safely without getting touched, but fortunately he was wrong.
소말리 어디가? 소말리 어디가? 어디 가냐고?
어디가?
So yeah, I'm not entirely sure who was filming. Looks like this man was coming down from his hotel room with a random guy filming him from behind. But he was spatting some Korean shit. I don't speak Korean, so I don't know what he said, but you could clearly see that Johnny Somali had a big ass bandage over his eyebrow ridge, and after talking shit to Johnny Somali in Korean, he shoved his ass straight to the ground. And it's just like, damn, this man is getting repeatedly bullied in public, jumped and pushed down and punched in the face by random people. I mean, my God, like, why would you not leave the country at that point? Clearly, you're not welcome there.
Come on in.
Please. My hat. 자, 이쪽으로 오세요. 거기. hat. No. My hat.
He can't even walk straight. Like he just got clocked, right? Decked, clocked, whatever you guys want to call it. But every time he runs to the police when he gets, attacked, because he's instigating it, right? Because he's out there clowning all over the internet there and saying atrocious things about their history, about their people, about their woman. The other thing is that we don't see, I'm not going to play it, but his I think it's Jono or somebody, or one of his other cameramen, basically had to escape Japan and run off back home to America because he's got beaten up. So he's like, okay, yeah, this is getting serious. I'm going to click out. But Johnny stays behind, and then he's got a guy who's called Hank, who's in Japan, who's kind of hanging out with him, translating all this stuff. Trying to speak on his behalf to locals, that he's seen now as a traitor, right? So because he came out with a friggin' samurai sword, and then he's also carrying a gun, which is a gun as an offense in Korea. So now that dude's going to be, all this evidence is coming out that they've been live streaming all this stuff. So I'm going to jump over to another video, and this is. And then we'll finish off here. This is just a test. I'm not sure if if my mic is set up right now, but let's try. Let's see if my mic is working through that. One of the I'm not very tech savvy to be honest. I'm not really that smart when it comes to technical stuff. So I've always considered myself as a as not a nerd, but as a geek, because there's a difference, right? I'm into like the pop culture stuff, into comics and music and stuff, but I'm not really that techie about computer stuff. That's why I don't even use OBS, because I think I'll mess it up. Even though I've got set it up, but I've got it all set up how I want everything done. But I'm afraid that if I do it, it'll be all a mess when I go to do it, right? So let me see if this is working the way I want, and if you guys can able to hear me, then we'll finish up here. This is just a test. I'm not sure if if my mic is set up right now, but let's try. Let's see if my mic is working through that. One of the I'm not very tech savvy, to be honest. I'm not really that smart when it comes to technical stuff. Yeah, so it seems to be working. So I guess I've got the mic working. Kind of pleased about that. Because like it costs a bit, right? To put a mic up, get all set up. I think it's come up to about maybe $500 New Zealand to get the mic, get the webcam set up the way I want. And I don't want it, like when I want it to come back to streaming again, I want it to be pretty good, everything done right. By the way, guys, in the new year, we're going to have a lot of cool comics coming out in 2025. There's about 5 or 6 coming out. And if you don't know, where to get our comics, I'm going to show you where you can actually get, find our comics. I mean, this stream isn't about our comics, but because I've got Plunge Comics is where we're going to do all our comic stuff. But I just wanted to show you what we've got actually released right now, as a digital. So you could pick this up right now in Credigo for $2.99. I'll give you a link in the chat if I grab it here. And look, for a full color comic book, it's pretty, for a digital comic book, it's pretty good price, right? So I want to show you the inside of it, because I actually have the printed version here, right? So you can actually see what the comic looks like. Interior. But so that's the wrong one. That's the old one that I had a while back. Is that, no, where is it? Here we go. So this is the beautiful comic here, right? With all the artwork and everything done up. And you can, you know, just as finishing here, you guys can check it out. But yeah, as you can see, we've, you know, worked really hard on it. It's full color and everything. But you can check that out on, you know, on our website. And also, you know, we've got issue 2 coming out soon. Next week, it's I think it's about 10 days or something. We're going to have it colored. Issue 2 getting colored. My publisher, Rise of Sun Comics, have set up a, you know, sorted out a colorist for that. And so we'll be doing that. Now back to Johnny Salami. And here's the, is being hunted. So this is continuing, and then we'll finish up on this because, you know, I really don't want to give them too much space, but I thought it would be worthwhile noting because this is not just local, it's international news, right? Amongst, because it has to do with streaming. And this is kind of like, it's kind of sad to see where the state of streaming has come. And as much as we like to, you know, enjoy live streaming and all that, there is this other extreme side of it, or just like actually going to create laws, right? And it already has, like in Japan, they're already talking about creating laws to ban people from live streaming, right? People who've just been doing normal stuff, getting good following, you know, making a good living off it, just being, you know, polite, you know, promoting the country, doing whatever they want without affecting people going about their own day, apart from attacking people going about their day. Now you've got, because you've got a handful of people who are doing these horrible things in public with live streaming, now there's going to be a law against that, you know, because there's too many complaints. And because of these people from overseas normally, right? Maybe 1 or 2 locals, but really most of these people are foreigners. Actually, to be, you know, I should actually put on another video about, after that, from a foreigner living in Korea, a Black American, right? And hear what he has to say, what his own Korean friends have said to him. But I will just finish off this video here. Let me mute myself.
Yeah, this man definitely got his ass beat. Like, bro, it appears that the guy who was filming him is the Korean dude over here getting handcuffed by the policeman for, I assume, assaulting Johnny. Now, I'm not entirely sure what Johnny Somali said to that man specifically, but based on the facial expression I'm seeing from the man getting arrested, he gives no fucks at all. He said, "This was well-deserved. I do not care. Try me, talk your shit, and I'll do it again." And now a lot of you are probably wondering, why are random-ass Korean people attacking Johnny Somali? And apparently it has something to do with the fact that he was blatantly disrespecting Korean monuments, symbols, and the culture itself. As reported by this article, they say on October 9th, Ishmael, aka Johnny Somali, uploaded a video of himself kissing and twerking on the Statue of Peace in Seoul, Seoul, Korea, that is. And the Statue of Peace is a symbol of Korean comfort women, women and girls who were forced into sexual slavery by the Japanese army during colonial rule of Korea from 1910 to 1945. In any case, here's that video of him twerking, kissing, and disrespecting that very important statue and symbol of comfort women in Korea. Very disrespectful.
Japan hates this thing. Right here.
Yeah, make sure to fucking show it.
Japan hates this thing.
Tell them why. Tell them why.
Sit down with it. Put it, hold it. Japan hates it. Sit down with it. I don't know if it's disrespect to sit here. I stand with the Korean people. Bring it closer to you. Bring it closer. I stand with the Korean people. I love Korea. And everything that I did in Japan.
I don't really want to show what he does to it because it's too disrespectful, man. Like, so, but to be honest, like, you know, a friend of mine who's Korean, right? Acquaintance, I should say, not a friend, because, you know, I only see him every couple of years. But he basically said, you know, this dude needs to be taken out because, and that's just here in New Zealand, right? Because it's just, it's too despicable of a human being to be allowed to do this on an international level, right? And so, for me personally, I think just put him in jail, and after that, deport him, right? And then put him on a blacklist, so he can't go outside the country ever again. So he'll be, confined to America. So if he does that in America, well, America can do whatever they want with him, right? But here's something very interesting, in that this is a Black American, student in university in Korea, South Korea, who's responding to this. And this is very important what he says. It's a long video, but I'm just going to play the first couple minutes of it, and then we'll finish off. As I said, this was just a test the mic. Mic is working now, which I'm very happy about. I was a bit, iffy about, well, is it going to work or not? But yeah, hopefully you guys hear me very clear and everything's good. So let's hear American Expat. This dude is Francois Mark, right? Actually, I had subscribed to him, but yeah, you guys can check this full stream out about what he says later. But I'm going to play a couple of minutes of it because I want you guys to. This is how I feel about it, right? I felt this as a migrant myself, even though now I'm not a migrant because I've lived in New Zealand for. I'm a citizen now, permanent resident, as they say. For over 40 years now, right? Was it 54? About 45, maybe, I don't know, 44 years. Most of my childhood, most of my adult life, teen life, everything, right? But this is what I feel about when you're a migrant, right? When you're in a country that's welcomed you and with open arms, you want to be in your best behavior. I remember as a child, and some people have said that's harsh, but my dad said to me, and I didn't really understand it until years later, right? Because I was due to things in my childhood, I was always acting out, right? And anybody who's been in a situation would 100% understand a child acting out because of what's happened in those situations. And so, because you don't know how to express yourself, how to word what's happened to you, and you just do whatever because you don't know how to behave anymore, or because your world's been totally, it's all gone. The innocence is all gone, So he said, my dad said to me, look, listen, we're just in the garden. I remember very specifically. My dad said to me, he said, we were like, what was it called? Hold on, let me backtrack. So I was being very, rebellious and naughty and whatever, getting myself in trouble. I was around maybe 14, 15. And Dad said we were out hoeing the garden. This is, there's electric hose, basically it's the things that goes around like this. It tills the garden, or electric tiller, whatever you want to call it. But we used to call it electric hoe, right? So, you pull on the machine, it's like a lawnmower, motor to get, and we borrowed it. I think my dad might have hired it. And so we're there making a garden at the back of a house. I know exactly which house where we lived in the Bay of Islands, and it's there. And it's like a Saturday or Sunday afternoon. And Dad's like, listen, everybody out there in the world is going to see you differently because because of the way you look. And they're going to look at everybody else just like you, and they'll see this horrible, this person is always getting into trouble. Dad's not saying that, because you're always causing mischief. You're always doing this, you're playing up, and they'll see you, and they'll see you as a representation of your people, right? Because my dad's, European, and he's my stepdad, but he's an amazing man, right? He just turned 85 a couple of weeks ago, and he's, he's trying to tell someone who's not biologically his child in a way that, because it's trying not to be too harsh, but he's just saying, son, they're not going to see you. They're going to see you differently right here, right now. I'm going to tell you the truth. The world is going to see you differently because there aren't that many of you living here right now, right? Not that many Indians here right now. So as a young, especially your age, as a young teenager, they won't understand that you're just you, right? they're not going to see you as an individual. They're going to see you as a representation of your entire race, right? And so you can't be out here doing this sort of stuff. And so I was like, at that time, I really didn't understand. I'm just, 14, 15. So I'm just hanging out with everybody else doing all the crazy stuff. And all my friends were rebellious, naughty teenagers, right? So I kind of feel like a lot of, I know it's kind of like said to be painted that way, with the same brush, everybody getting painted by the same brush. But I feel like all of us need to be told that at a very young age. And I feel like a lot of people are not being taught that at a young age, and it's kind of because dad's not in the home anymore, right? And because their dads aren't in the home anymore, and a lot of dads just left their families and gone off, and mums have to pick up the lead and sort of, pick up being a parent and father and mother. And the words that a dad would tell his kid, and the boy, especially the male, right, would understand, isn't there. So I'm really grateful for my dad for what he told me at a young age. And it took me years, but I started understanding when I became, I guess in my 20s, when I realized that, you can't just go behaving like this as a migrant in predominantly another country, and you're going to kind of like representing yourself for your entire, ethnic minority group, whatever, because you're the only one that they see right here, right now, until years later, where the whole place, everybody is like so diverse now in every country you go to. Whereas when I was living, when I moved here in the 80s, I was like the only male 7-year-old up to about 14-year-old in my entire town, almost my entire area, in my, rural area that we lived in. And so dad was like, just remember, these guys are going to see you as a stereotype representation of everybody, of your race. And so I want to play this little video here from this guy about being, being overseas in a country, let me just blow up this into a higher res so you guys can see that, because that's like really low there. There we go. Because I don't want him looking good. So looking bad, sorry, I should say. So this is Francois Mark. He's in Korea, right? He's studying in Korea. Sounds like a really cool guy. Very and I saw this come across randomly because I was looking after this dude here. And that's the video we've been watching while I've been trying to set up this stream properly after so many months. And so because of that, his stream popped up, and I was like, oh, his video popped up. So let's check it out.
I've been living in Seoul, South Korea for 12 years, and I've been living in Korea altogether for about 14 years, and I've seen some crazy stuff since I've been here. I've had the honor of going to a lot of weddings in this country. I've traveled around to so many different amazing places, and I've tasted a lot of amazing food with a lot of amazing people. And because I've had so many positive experiences, so many wonderful experiences here in Korea, I have nothing but positive things to say about this country. All of you know how I feel about Korea. This is my home. However, these days I feel like my country, my home, I don't want to say my country, but my home is under attack. And that's because of this person named Johnny Somali. Let's talk about him, and let's talk about how he's dangerous for Korea, but also for foreigners living here. Honestly, I never knew anything about Johnny Somali until a week ago, when a few of my YouTube subscribers left comments saying how I should be careful because Johnny Somali is running rampant in this country. One of my subscribers even said for me to be careful because I look like Johnny Somali. So I had to do a quick Google search to find out who this guy is. Who is Johnny Somali? Why is he causing like all of this uproar? And why are people comparing Johnny Somali to me? So it did not take me long to find some of the worst atrocities that I've ever seen committed in Korea by foreigners who are visiting this country. He should be kicked out of Korea as soon as possible. I was watching some of his videos, and he's doing some very dumb things. I can't fathom why a person would actually do these things in a foreign country, but also, why would you even think about doing these things in general? It doesn't make any kind of sense. And so there's one video of Johnny Somali. He's sitting in a convenience store, and he's eating ramen, or he's eating some kind of food, and he's being very disrespectful to the older woman who's working at the convenience store. what kind of person would think about doing something like this? And how does he have so many followers? How does he have so many subscribers and so many views? I mean, that's also very mind-boggling. One of the funny things.
One of the things that's come out is that he's a very like Johnny's, not this gentleman here, not Francois, but Johnny Somali, right? That's not his actual real name. His name is Ishmael something, right? He's a Muslim. It's come out that he's very racist towards Asians, and so the people who are actually, you know, who actually have followed his stream for a while understand that he's a racist person, right? And so they egg him on towards being racist towards Asians, specifically to anybody who's not, you know, part of his race, right? So anybody who's a racist, you know, and in that sort of arena, or whatever have you, in that grouping, they're the ones who are funding this sort of stuff, right? And that's who they're the ones who are following, right? That nuisance tribe, nuisance streamer tribe, right? And like Francois says, right, like he can't fathom, I can't fathom as a human being of doing that sort of thing, because it's not in us to do that. We are raised right, as as people like to say. You know, we have a dad in the home. We have someone who's disciplining us, saying that's not how you behave, son. Right? So it's like he's able. I don't even know how he was able to get a passport, right? Because I don't have a passport. My passport's expired. I can't be bothered getting a passport because it costs like $280 to get a passport, right? So I don't need to travel and stuff, but yet he's able to get all this money because there's somebody out there actually funding this sort of thing, to go out there, abuse Asian people, to abuse overseas people as a foreigner. But like Francois says, right, it's dangerous to foreigners now to be in Asia because of this person. And what he actually means is dangerous for dark-skinned people to be in Asian countries now, right? Because a lot of people who are doing, you know, they know it's not white people doing that, right? It's not European people doing this. It's actually this black dude doing this. And so Francois now feels like he's getting warned by his friends, his Korean friends, right? His Asian friends saying, hey, be careful, dude, because they're going to paint you with the same brush. Just like I was saying earlier, right? That you're going, you know, when you're out there doing stuff like this as a so-called minority in a wider Asian country, you will become targeted as Johnny Salami, right? Somali, right? And so you'll basically be seen as this horrible person, and that brings a danger to you. And I kind of wonder, like, you know, I mean, there are racists around everywhere, right? And then if you have a racist person actually out there doing these sort of racist things, people will think that you're all racist, because the stereotypes are based on something. That's why it's called a stereotype. A certain group of people doing certain things becomes a stereotype of that group. Now, let me put on Francois a bit more.
Thing is that Johnny Somali would be considered Black American, or even some people would say he's African American. So all of his derelict behavior, it kind of brushes off on the African Americans or Black Americans, or even Black people, Africans, however you want to call yourself, here in Korea. Okay. That can be a little far-fetched. Maybe just because Johnny Somali is acting like a child, he's acting like he's crazy, he has no sense. It doesn't mean that, you know, because of the color of his skin, everyone's going to associate his behavior with other not light-skinned, like-skinned people. And even though I'm not happy with Johnny Somali and his antics here in my beloved Korea, this does afford me the opportunity to talk about some different cultural skills that people should have when they're traveling or visiting another country. I'm not sure if I've talked about this in another video or not, but I'm very disturbed with how a lot of YouTubers go around to different countries and they act a fool. And this can have terrible, dire consequences on all foreigners who visit or travel around to different countries. But more specifically, I want to talk about like African Americans and the Black community. Why Johnny Somali's antics, why his derelict behavior can bode even worse for us. I think I have a bit of self-awareness, I think. And I think I'm pretty good at reading the room.
So here's the thing, right? So look at the skin, right? Same color as Francois, and he's black American, right? African American, what do you want to call it? So that means that if I go to Korea, right, people will see me just as an American, and that's not strange to say, because my actual Korean friend said to me, what's with your accent? You're American, right? I said, no. Because, oh, well, how come you sound American? It's like, you know, and I could easily pass, and I have passed as an American before, and I had to correct people, because I grew up watching American TV from a young age, like 7, 8 years old, right? So that meant that, like, a lot of this is when you're learning, when you're at the young age, you're learning, you know, English, your accents. And so when you're hearing American all the time, I just take that on board, because, you know, everybody's, you know, most of my time spent on front of the TV, you know, as a kid, as you do. And so my tone, my accent isn't actually New Zealand, because we have a very different style. And so a lot of times people who don't know me think that I'm American because of my accent, because I don't sound Kiwi. I was mistaken for American in Fiji, in the country that I was born in, amongst my own people, right? And then I got confused as an American here by the locals, because I went to another town. So, oh, okay. So what part of America are you from? Like, I'm not from America. I'm from here, and I'm from Fiji originally. So yeah, I was like, oh, you sound American. So yeah, and Francois is right. You know, like it paints it paints foreigners in a bad light when you have foreigners. You know, it gives that whole ugly American thing, that kind of thing. And same as that. Like, I mean, like there was a few years back in New Zealand, there was like this family of British family who were doing pretty much the same thing. And that sort of like caused people in New Zealand to go, hey, listen, we don't want this sort of people here. Right. So the moment you start causing trouble, we'll give you a warning, and we'll deport you, put you on a plane, and get the hell out again. Because, you know, we don't want that sort of tourist. Nobody, you know, even though tourism is a big thing, because we need that tourist money, right? People come over, they're not going to spend $2-3 like a local would go to an event, to a place. They'll spend $10, $30, $40, $50 when you go to, you know, say a zoo or something. They want memorabilia. And so tourism is important to a country. And so when he's doing all these things over at Asian countries, they're trying to be polite about it. They're not trying to be too aggressive towards them, because they don't want that tourists, you know, to give that good relationship with the outside public. They don't want to paint everybody in the same light. And Francois is right. If you're a foreigner visiting, another country, you got to really be on good behavior, because you're representing your entire country. Because some people there have never met a person from America, or person from New Zealand, or person from Australia. So if you're over there, say an Asian country, especially in this situation, and you're behaving like that, that's basically creating a stereotype to these people of your culture, of you as from that country. And you know, to be to a point where your Korean friends come and tell you, hey, dude, you look like that dude, so be careful, because we know you're a good person. Strangers don't know that. And right now there's a guy out there that looks like you, is making all these horrible live stream videos, attacking people, harassing people, disrespecting our war memorials, because that's what he was doing, disrespecting a war memorial, right? And just, you know, being atrocious towards our local girls, like this, being on the street saying, I want to do this to you, let me do this to you, you know, in an aggressive sexual way. And so now you got a Black American doing that in Asia. Now you got Francois, who's studying there, who calls Korea his home, right? South Korea his home, is now being painted with the same brush. Hey, when they see you, they'll see you like that person. They don't see you like the nice, gentle person that you are. And so it is important to, you know, if you're a migrant, to be on your best behavior to a certain extent, because you are representing your people, you are representing your family, your culture, basically your identity, because a lot of people don't and have never met someone like you ever before. And so it's good to kind of try to be on your best behavior, be a polite person, be a kind person, whatever you need to do, just represent, understand that you are the first person they see. It's like, that's what is it like, the something about the first impression is the best impression, or whatever, like that's the impression, that everybody ever has of you. So, for me, I think that a lot of migrants tend to just think that they can do whatever they want wherever they are and say whatever they want without actually understanding that the country they're in has their own culture, and you got to respect that culture. And that's why I don't like people who don't assimilate. I really do not like foreigners who do not assimilate into a local community, right? Who they just want to stick them down in little huddle groups, and create down little villages, and that's where they stay because everybody speaks the same language, they eat the same food, they dress the same way, and the next thing you know, they become like, oh, that's them and this is us, and there's no assimilation there. And so as a migrant, you can't live like that in a foreign country, because, hey, you went there because you wanted to be there, right? You chose to be there. Like our family chose to be in New Zealand. My mom chose to be here, right? And have children here, right? We chose to be here, right? So we could, and then if we start behaving badly, it's like the country can choose to chuck us out, right? And I think a lot of times, especially minority people, always feel like they have like some sort of power because they're like, oh, we're the minority, whatever we can do, we can get away with because, hey, we're the minority. And I think that's a horrible way to live in a foreign country. I mean, it's got to be a bit of a give and take, right? You got to mix in. You can't just keep in your own little areas and expect that, the community should help you. You got to help and be part of the community, because and the other side of that is that you shouldn't as a migrant try to influence the community you're in. That's the last thing you want to do, because you are the newcomer, right? They're already established. You got to assimilate to them, not the other way around. And I think a lot of times the problems are caused is when the newcomers try to change where they're coming into. And I've watched foreigners in New Zealand come in and get into groups to try to change it. I'm like, that's established group. They have their special protocols. They have their culture. You can't just go in and try to change it. Now, you see that a lot in gaming. That's why a lot of gaming groups are broken up. People coming in, oh, we have to do it this way. You got to change it. You came in here because of what we were like. You can't then try to change it. So I think that's something everybody has to take note of, especially migrants, man. I think, because this is a whole quote unquote, whatever power of the minority, right? The falsehood of that. People think that minorities have all the answers. They don't, right? They do not. And a lot of times they can do a lot of damage to groups and cultures around them because of the way they behave. And that sort of gives the locals a stereotype of that culture. And then they'll, if that minority group doesn't call out that bad actor, then everybody will see that minority group as like that person, as endorsement. So that's why, like, when I see something that if I see someone from my culture doing something bad, I'll call it out. I'll go, yeah, that's not good, because I know that those basically silence is to people. If you really understand people's nature, so if you're silent against something, that's basically endorsement. So if you don't call out stuff that you see that is bad, that's done by your own people, then that's basically everybody else sees as endorsement, even whether you like it or not, even if it's wrong. People will still see that as an endorsement, right? People understand ignorance isn't bliss anymore, right? You can't just let bad actors degrade your community by the way they behave. And I understand rebellion, I understand teen angst and all that stuff, but and people understand that as well. As a teenager, people will excuse your behavior because, hey, you're a teenager and stuff. But when you're over 20 and do that, that's when people go, yeah, now you're an adult. Now you face the law. You face the community's law, right? It's like that, like they say, it takes a village to raise a child, because after that child is, and now it belongs to the village, and the village will now deal with you. So let's carry on with listen to Francois. I'm going to mute myself because I haven't got my headphones because I was testing out this new mic. So apologies for that.
My surroundings and understand how people perceive me or perceive like different situations. When I hear about Johnny Somali coming to Korea and he's defaming everything that he does, and he's making Americans look bad. He's making foreigners look bad in the eyes of Koreans, but he's also making African descent people look bad as well. And maybe a lot of you will say, "Oh, Francois, we know the difference between each individual," but I mean, seriously, sometimes people don't know the difference, and one person can create a stereotype or add to the stereotype of an entire group of people. Like, there's one instance that really comes to mind, and it makes me stop and think and just recall like my feelings. Like, I had very strong feelings about this incident, and a lot of my friends who were with me, they didn't really seem to mind, but for me, because I think I have some kind of cultural awareness or just awareness in general, it stuck out. And that was when I was in Busan, and it was about, I don't know, 6 or 7 years ago. So down in Busan, I went to McDonald's with a few of my friends, and inside there's a lot of people. There were like tons of people because it was the 4th of July weekend. So many of you know that here in Korea, there are a lot of U.S. military personnel. So on that day, on the holiday, all of the U.S. military personnel, they were out and they were just partying and having fun. In McDonald's, there were tons of people, and the vast majority of those people were African Americans. And usually I would be like very happy and enthusiastic about seeing, people who look like me, self-identity or self-identification theory, something like that. Whenever you see people who look like you, you tend to gravitate toward them or, feel more accepted around them. But in this case, it was the complete opposite. So let me paint the scene for you. Behind the counter, there were Korean workers, and there were Korean people who were buying food. There were just like maybe a few Koreans in there, maybe 5 or 6, but then there were like maybe 10 or 12 African Americans. And then more Koreans started to come in, and some of the African Americans started to leave. There remained like 4 or 5 African Americans. I remember there were like 3 girls and 2 guys, and the girls were so loud. They were like super, super loud. And they were just using like the N-word, like constantly, like N-word this, N-word that. And I'm a big proponent of never using this word. It's not cool. It's not fun to use this word in music or just even as a term of endearment. I think this word should be eradicated from anyone's vocabulary. The African American group, they were like screaming and are yelling or speaking so loud using the N-word, N-word this, N-word that, N-word this, N-word that. And Koreans were just looking at them, just not saying anything, just looking at them. And when the Koreans were looking at them with like eyes of like bewilderment and just like, exasperation, like what is going on? It made me feel bad because I'm also African American, and I can never escape like my people. I can't escape, coming from where I come from, or being who I am. So it made me feel bad to see the Koreans witnessing how we as a people were acting on that particular night. Yeah. So I mean, think about that. If you see a bunch of African Americans or
so I blame all that on the rap music, 100%. The use of the N-word, like if rap music stopped using it, because culture is affected by music and art, right? So if hip hop people stop using it as normalized that language and music, everybody else would stop using it. You know how I know that? Because people call each other nigger in Fiji, but they've never met any Black Americans. How do they do that? Because they listen to that music, right? How do people in New Zealand call each other that? Especially young. Oh, especially Maori people, dark-skinned people, right? Why? Because, well, rap music, because that's what they listen to. So they call, yo, nigga this, nigga that to everybody else, all their friends. Hey, I got called that this week, right? Because why? I'm just walking down the street, right? And so why? Oh, music. And so I hate rap music that uses that. I love the old school rap music, man. I seriously love the old school rap music because they had respect and they were doing something positive with it, with that music. And even if it was just dancing, you know, just for the hell of dancing in the clubs, I enjoy that, right? De La Soul, you know, Truckle Quest, all that stuff is amazing. Even Public Enemy, right? But guess what? When NWA got popular with niggas with attitude thing, that's when it went all downhill. That's when they started pushing that in the mainstream. And that's when they realized they could make money off people listening to black people calling each other nigger all day long. And so they got on that. See, this is the most I've ever said that in the nigger word, right? Ever. In an entire decade. Because I'm trying to make a point here, right? Because I don't use that in my vocabulary. I hate that because I don't want to be called that. And I got called that this week out of the blue. Just minding my own business, walking down the street. Why? Because rap music is what is bringing around the street culture, the drug culture from America's ghettos into the world, into every, every music store, every video that plays hip hop, right? Every station that plays it, all around the world. You can hear it in Korea, you can hear it in Japan, anywhere. But here's the thing. It's so hypocritical because when you sing along to that, oh, now you're being racist. So I put that blame on black people and black musicians especially. And I agree with Francois. I'm like him because I understand what that does, right? It's open season for the rest of the world to use that word. Because if you're out there going on one hand going, oh, you can't say that, then why are you saying it? Right? Why are you saying it all day long, 50 times in your freaking song, right? That's why I think it's the most hypocritical thing to say, you can't use the N-word. Why? You're using it, right? So if you don't want us to use it, so stop using it. If you don't want somebody in South Africa using it or someone in Fiji using it, someone that's far removed, that's never met an American in their entire life, especially a black American or African American, whatever you want to call it, right? In their entire life, yet they're using it because that's in their music that's being played on the stereo, on the freaking radio station, because that's what's popular right now. That's because of you, not because of that Indian dude in Fiji calling each other nigger, right? That's because of you in America creating that music for no reason, because you can use it, you can put anything else in there, but because you chose to use that because, hey, we want to own this, right? If you're not owning that word. Everybody else in the world is owning it to describe you, to describe each other, describe every dark-skinned person in the world. So you're basically perpetuating racism through your music towards other dark-skinned people. You are exporting racism because of hip-hop, because of rap music, right? That's why people call it rap crap, because it is, when you do that, it is crappy to do that, put that word out there internationally, not just in America to your ghettos, but to everybody around the world, right? And people understand that. Normal human beings understand how language works. That's why they don't want to use certain languages. That's why we don't want to use certain languages, because we know when you keep saying something, it becomes part of the vocabulary in the community. However, it seems like Black Americans think they're getting empowered by that silly word, right? A word that isn't even African. It's actually white, European, right? Describing black, right? Why can't you say black? Oh no, but we got to own that word, right? We got to use the N word because there's a meaning behind that word, but there's no meaning in that word in your music. You're just saying it randomly because you can't come up with anything else interesting, right? That's why I gave up listening to hip hop music years ago. Like, you know, because like I said, in the 90s, I loved Tribe Quest, I loved Public Enemy, De La Soul. There were so many others, Salt and Pepper, and all that. There was so many cool bands out. Where are they now? Because they promote you know, gangster rap over all that good positive music, all that, you know, stuff you could just put on, nobody would care. It'd be like they'll sing along with it because there's no N-word in there, right? And you could still have booty shaking music and dance things, but it didn't have that in there, right? But now that's the big thing. And so, like Francois was saying, right, you're out there saying it to each other and everybody's looking like, why are you guys being racist to each other? Why are you using a racist word? Yeah, and I think it's interesting how people, it's like, it's kind of, it's ignorance amongst themselves. You know, it's like when you, like Francois, when you leave that community and you're outside the community, then you can look at that community from the outside and go, hey, yeah, I see how that can be detrimental to yourself, to our own community by using that, right? It's just, a lot of people just don't want, they're like, oh, but if you say that you're racist. Yeah, but you are being racist. We can't call that out. Oh, no, you can't. Why? Well, it's our word. So why is it your word when you're saying it everywhere else and it's on friggin' everybody else's radio station and it's being exported as a normal thing? So why can't we say it? Oh, because it's racist to us. Are you stupid? Then don't say it then. Why are you allowed to say something that we can't say? Well, you can't say. There's so much ignorance in that community, you know, especially on the music scene. It's like, if you don't want somebody to use it, then don't say the word. Like, we know there's words that we were used to call that we won't allow, we won't even use ourselves because we know the moment we say that it'll be in somebody's head and somewhere accidentally, even when they're not meaning to, it'll pop out. That's why we don't say it amongst ourselves, right? That's why white people don't say it. It's only the ignorant, low educated people will say certain words, right, that normal people won't say because if they understand that, hey, we don't use these words against each other because that's what those other people call us, right? Because then we don't want that in the public forum, right? You know, we don't talk about certain things because we don't want other people to be aware of those, right? And because then they would say it again. And then we'll have to deal with it again. And we'd have to shut them down. And then we'll be like the hypocrites we are, right? And then it'll be like, well, you say it, so why can't we say it? Oh, it's our word. It's a word. Then don't say it, and nobody else will say it. But anyway, let's get back to that. I don't want to rant too much on that. Let's Francois talk.
Are people of any ethnic background, Chinese or Koreans or Japanese or Europeans, anyone, if you see them just acting a fool and like running amok, like what would you think? Would you think like these people are cool, approachable, nice, amicable, or is it amiable? One of those. I always get those two words confused. But would you think that these people are well-behaved individuals and deserve to be in your country, or would you try to steer clear of them, and make sure that you have nothing to do with them? Oh, hi, good to see you. That's the best part of filming a YouTube video on campus is like all of your students are looking at you like, yo, what is he doing? Yeah, so this whole situation with Johnny Somalia has me thinking about all of these things. Like, first of all, he's American here and he's a guest in this country. He's also considered, Black American. So, his actions, what kind of repercussions are they going to have on other African Americans or people of African descent here in this country? I mean, of course, I'm not Johnny Somalia, and a lot of other African Americans or people of African descent living and working in Korea have no connection to him, no relation to him at all. But already commenters are telling me to be careful because I look like Johnny Somalia, or maybe I resemble him or he resembles me. But anyways, connections are already starting to be made. So I think Johnny Somali's situation can actually teach us a lot about, what was a big dog over there? His situation can teach us a lot about cultural awareness and just having decent common courtesy and etiquette. I mean, that goes a long way. Common courtesy and etiquette. Yo, dog, have some common courtesy and etiquette. I'm filming. Yo, this guy is not happy. Oh, I pointed the camera at him and he walked away. Yeah, so like also in a couple of Johnny Somali's videos, he's starting to be like attacked and beaten up by Koreans. And I don't condone violence of any sort unless it's in self-defense. I can kind of understand. I can empathize a lot with the Koreans who are attacking him because this guy is crazy. He's doing a lot of terrible things here in Korea. He's causing not only harm for Koreans, but he's also causing harm for foreigners as well. And he's causing harm for himself and his friend who's going around filming with him. My grandma always taught me when I was growing up, Francois, treat others the way you want to be treated. And if you ever go anywhere, always be respectful. You should be more respectful of places when, well, hi.
Hello.
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 Hi. Oh, I can't put you on camera. You're children. Bye.
Bye.
See you. Thank you. See you. I didn't really hear what he said, but yeah, it was two little children. They wanted to be on the camera, and I was like, nah, you're children. Wait, did they say I'm handsome? If so, then yeah, maybe I should put them on camera. Yeah, but anyways, grandma always taught me, be respectful wherever you go. Actually, you should be more respectful in a place that you're visiting than you should be at home. And that's not saying that you should treat your home like shit, or you should have degenerate behavior, at your home. But if you're going to a different place, you should show more decorum and more congeniality. Maybe you should show more of your good side, more of your positive side than you should your negative side, because you never know how your image, the image that you portray, will be perceived by people who are looking at you, and then they can in turn take the image that they have of you and generalize it to other people who look like you. I always like this traffic scene.
That's a good point to end this video on, because that's what I was right at the start. That's what I was talking about. My dad saying the thing. So ending, basically the same thing, right? So ending with Francois' grandma telling him that same thing is a good way to end that video. So thank you for joining me. This wasn't supposed to be a long stream, but I did want to cover the Johnny Somali thing, because it's worldwide now, right? People are worldwide, and that's going to affect how people stream in public in those countries. I know there's laws over being changed over in Japan because of him, and of course it's going to happen in Korea as well. But it's going to affect a lot of very good streamers, right? I mean, people make a living off streaming. Right, I was watching a guy drive around for 6 hours the other night from Korea, and there was like 1,600 people in the stream, 1,600 just watching a guy drive around, right? And people, chucking in, like a couple bucks, $10 every now and then. So paying for his petrol, paying for him driving around, talking, bothering nobody, but because of Johnny Salami doing these things now, it's going to affect live streamers who do that as a job, do that as their thing, do that as a to bolster their community, to communicate with people. But that's all I want to say about that today. Thank you for joining me for this impromptu testing of my new mic and setup. Seems to be working, but now I got to get a headphones to make sure that's working. I tried to make it work with this, but I got to fiddle around a bit more because I had to. I had to upgrade the system. It was messed. So my computer got all messed up. For a couple of weeks ago, I thought I was going to lose everything. I was like, 20 years of work was just going to go. I mean, I've got stuff saved up for the last 6 years. Everything's backed up on Dropbox, but I'm still hesitant about, putting stuff online because I actually lost an email address I had that had all this business contact with, and I've never been able to get back on with Hotmail, and it was just so I'm always conscious about online stuff. Like I like to have it on hard drives, but all my hard drives are full. Like I 4 terabytes was just full of, because when you get to my age, you have work because I'm a prolific writer. So I have tons of stuff everywhere. Right? I don't think I'll ever be able to complete producing. And this is the sadness that I have, is that I'll never be able to produce all the stories I've ever written that I think are valuable and would be worthwhile putting out there, because I just haven't had the time to complete them, or the fact that I don't have the resources to get them all made into comic books, or the fact that it's just I won't have enough time in the world to do it. Because like I'm talking about hundreds of stories here, right? Written over 20, 30 years of my life. Probably at 2002 is when I really got down to it. So that's like about, over 20 years, right? But anyway, thank you for joining me. I really appreciate you guys coming on to this impromptu thing. I didn't plan to do it, but I was on Frog Tony's. I popped up on Frog Tony's because he was having a chill member stream, and I'm a member of his channel. So I thought, while I'm sitting here, why not talk about what I've been thinking about all week with this Johnny Salami thing. So thank you guys for coming on. Thank you guys for watching, for popping in and popping up. If you see the, I'm going to cut up that little Francois video stream and put it as a clip. Maybe you can watch that on the restream, re-upload as a clip. But have an awesome day. Today is Monday in New Zealand, so it's still Sunday in the Northern Hemisphere. So enjoy your weekend, and for all us here in the Southern Hemisphere, have a good Monday and a good week. Catch you guys later. Ka kite ano. Be well, be safe wherever you are.